everyone, and welcome once again to the one, the only, the Fan Show. I am your host, as always, the T-Man, Richard T-Man, and the man in the other box. Well, when we talk about people that have that dog in him, he is a Shih Tzu. It is the Father Malcolm McCoy. How you doing, man?
Hey, the most ferocious shit you ever seen too. No, I'm doing all right, man. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I think Shih Tzu is a perfect fit because it's both parts, well, dog, but it's also like one of the most manicured dogs around. Like that stuff's got to be on point. You take care of your dreads like an owner of a Shih Tzu takes care of their their grooming and well-being. So
Hey, that's one of the most high. That's the highest honor you can get as a as a person with dread. So I'll take it, man. I appreciate it.
Well, it is the week after the 4th. Still got all 10, so that's good. We hope you all had a happy 4th of July. It is episode 495, which is crazy because I looked at the calendar and did the math, which took a while because me and math don't mix very well. And if my
Mhm.
calculations are correct, episode 500 would be the episode that we would do after the championship game. So that's that's how crazy that is.
It's all perfect alignment.
So we got to go big for that.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. We've got 2 weeks left of the IFL season. We had a crazy week that we'll recap. But first, I wanted to give everybody a quick GoFundMe update. We continue to receive donations, so we will continue to receive donations. We're hoping. My personal goal was to have half of it by this Friday or this weekend so that we can book our flights, because once you get within a month of trying to fly is when the prices start to jump up a little bit. And so we had it
Mm.
calculated based on what they were a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully things don't change too much. But the link is very much live, and you can find it on our Instagram, all over the place. Our stories, people are sharing it. Big shout out to those that have. We thank you so much. Our Twitter or X, and then of course the Facebook page is where you can find the links there. But if everybody that saw our story with the link at the beginning of yesterday donated like 25, we would already be at halfway. So it doesn't have to be a lot. The people that have donated, have donated a good chunk. So we thank them for that and for helping us get hopefully where we want to go. Today's Fit is brought to you by the Iowa Barnstormers. This week in fan show history, 6 years ago, the Iowa Barnstormers defeated the Sioux Falls Storm to earn their one and only, so far, IFL championship. I was there and it was crazy, just how
Mm.
this whole thing came together. You can see highlights and clips on the fan show Facebook page from that day. But fun little fact there. And I'm not going to take too much time for the good, bad, and the funny, but I realized that I had one last week. But because it was the first of the month, I was like, we got to do a put it to bed. Well, it's still just as good this week. But last week, July 1st, was Bobby Bonilla Day. So that's my good, bad, and funny, because he
Yeah.
is that former All-Star for the Mets that gets
Hmm.
paid $1.2 million every July 1st until the year 2035. So
That's so
good
crazy.
for him, bad for the Mets, and just freaking hilarious all around. I mean, that's the kind of contract I want to be.
Hey, I'm telling you, it doesn't get any better than that. People talk about how, oh, at the time, I suppose it wasn't the. It seemed crazy because he was taking such a pay cut,
Mm.
seemingly, but I mean, in the long run, he was the one who got the last laugh, and is still getting the last laugh up until 2035. So good for him, man. That's all right.
He's
That's all
he's
right for sure.
living, breathing proof and reality of that thing that people share on Facebook or used to do in their groups of friends, being like, okay, if you could get paid 1 million every year for the rest of your life, or a
Hmm.
100 million right now, but then never another penny later, like which would you like? That's that's basically he's like, I'm gonna take 1 million every year for for the rest
No,
of my
for
life.
sure, for sure, man. That's hilarious, man.
So that was my
Really
good,
is.
bad, and funny. I wanted to get through it quick because we've got a lot to discuss. But Malc, did you have anything good, bad, or funny from the weekend?
Yeah, yeah, just the good and funny, and no bad. It was quite a few, tumultuous things going on this week, but I'd rather stay away from it. I'm gonna focus on the good and the funny. How about Arthur Jackson, man? That's our guy. We had him on last week. Great guy, great football player. Had a huge week this week, man. Not only was it his birthday, but before they capped off the week with win, he also proposed to his girlfriend.
Saw that.
Making her his fiance. Yeah, really, really good week. And if I'm not mistaken, I could very well be wrong, but I think it was on his birthday too. So, what better way to cap off a week with a W after proposing to your life partner and making it official? So that's really good for him. As for the funny, I'm gonna take it a different direction. I don't think we talk about a bunch of different sports here on the show, but I don't think we covered gymnastics yet. And a topic that kind of like surfaces ever so often here is how watered down and soft, if you will, sports are becoming nowadays. Not only as a player, but on the coaching side too. um, Michaela Skinner, a former Olympic gold medalist, spoke on how an organization called Safe Sports is making sports a lot more difficult for coaches. You know, apparently, I haven't really heard too much about the Safe Sports organization up until I read on it, but they're apparently an entity that acts as like a checks and balances type of governance system for coaches. They try to make it so that coaches aren't too hard on players or mentally abusing players or whatever the case may be. And while that can very and has been a huge issue, it's kind of been laughed at because coaches can't even use their normal tactics just to push players and get the best out of them. And Michaela Skinner came up. She's around my age. I think it says she's 29, but she came up in that era that I like to call the last era of actual physical sports. Because it seems like after my time, it just kind of gradually got more and more soft. But I'm sure she's used to that coaching where it's not always fun, it's not always a great practice. Your coach is going to push you and they're trying to get the best out of you. That's the best. That's what their job entails. And for her to speak on that as a gymnast, it just kind of shows how far reaching the sports, I guess, water down or softness is reaching to. So it was just kind of funny to read that and see that it doesn't only apply to football and basketball or baseball, or what people would call the major sports. It's even, reaching as far as gymnastics and things like that. So, I'm hoping to see a change in that. But, I mean, it's just sports. It's what it's come to nowadays, I suppose.
Well, and it's the sad truth. There's such a fine line between what's coaching and what's like taking it too far.
Hmm.
And it changes every generation you talk to about it. I mean, there's the dads of coaches now that were just like, in my day, it was, the coach would like smack you around and tell you that you were a worthless piece of shit. And that was coaching, that was constructive.
Yeah.
And now we've fast forwarded all the way into where it seems like everybody gets a trophy just for participating, a trophy of some kind. And I think there's got to be a happy middle. I really
Yeah.
do. But it is something that I haven't treaded into because my experience with coaching and sports is very limited. But I do know that there's players that will defend coaches that tell them that they can be better and that was pathetic or that play was horrible. I think a lot of is the verbiage and the language used and some of the body language as well. But yeah, you would know better than I do. But yeah, it's not just exclusive to one sport. It's all over the place. But the reason we don't talk about gymnastics is because you and I, neither of us are flexible by any means at all.
Not
So
even a little bit.
so that's our good, bad, and funny for the week, and that will bring us to IFL headlines from Week 17. There was a lot that happened. Who's in? Who's out of the 2024 playoff picture? Well, we have your answer as of this last week. Who is in? Bay Area, which we all kind of knew. San
Mhm.
Diego. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Frisco, which we already knew. Green Bay and Massachusetts. So, um, a little bit more clarity there on the in, but even more clarity on the out. Who's out is San Antonio. Unfortunately, Duke City, we kind of knew Tucson, absolutely. Jax, Iowa, and Sioux Falls are all out. So still in the mix. You have Vegas, Naz, and Arizona. In the
Mhm.
West and in the East, you have Quad City and Tulsa. So Malc was right, and I was wrong. That's right. Screen grab it, get it on record. He picked SD to get to the fourth playoff spot, and they might be they might be the number one. That's how crazy things have
Hey.
gotten since we had that conversation. In San Antonio is out. So the first big game was San Antonio and Massachusetts, simply because this was kind of a measuring stick game for Massachusetts, but San Antonio was playing for their postseason lives. I pretty much figured that they were out after they had lost the previous week, but this was like there's still a chance. Mathematically, in the scenarios, there was still a chance. So I hate looking at it now, thinking that once all was said and done that weekend, that it was basically a meaningless game because the team that lost is still in the postseason, and the team that
Mhm.
won is somehow out. So it's crazy to me. Sam Castronova put on another great performance, only had a single interception, but the final score there, 58-55. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Gunslingers their flowers because it's not like you see this thing every day. Duke City did
Mhm.
not have a good time adjusting to the IFL when they joined. I think they're still struggling, kind of.
Yeah.
But you had two teams. One is the former champion of the league these two teams came from. And for San Antonio to be in the mix all the way up until the third to last week of the season is incredible to me. So props to them. They clearly did not have as hard a time adjusting to this level of competition as Duke City has or as Jax has, and that's, in my opinion, the biggest disappointment of the entire season is Jax underperforming when there was such
Mhm.
a high level of expectation, maybe too high. But San Antonio came in and they did their thing. So props to them. I look forward to seeing what they bring next year. I think this was a good preview of what they're capable of. Big factor is going to
Certainly.
be, do they get Castronova back? I think he's your lock for Offensive Player of the Year. So that was the first game. And then we had San Diego and Vegas. And San Diego, there was the scenarios. San Diego needed to win, but also have
Mhm.
Naz or Arizona lose. That turned out to not be the case. Final score 60-59. And Malc, I think you broke down this one.
I did. I did. And it was a fun one for sure. You know, kind of expected both teams to kind of come out swinging, and they certainly did. Both scored on the opening drives, and from there, the first half was certainly a shootout. You got your standout guys, yeah, Elijah Lilly's in San Diego. He connected. Well, Nate Davis connected a couple times with Elijah Lilly early on. Putting them in a great position. But the funny thing is, contrary to what I thought, they didn't. They trailed almost the entire game up until I think the third quarter. But at which point, they started taking the lead a little bit. And it kind of gave a lot of guys who normally don't get as much, I guess, acclaim or as much spotlight to shine a little bit. Arthur Jackson did indeed have a touchdown, I think, and a couple of receptions. But like I said, Lilly, um, Rudy Johnson, all those guys, they showcase how important they are to that team. Not to mention how stout the defense was. Yeah, you had Daquan Artist, Elijah Bell. Elijah Bell with the two interceptions, great game by him, man. Like I said, Artist certainly been a force to be reckoned with on that D line just the entire season. It's good to see him making those plays when they matter. Also, Byron Cooper, the other DN who doesn't get as much spotlight either, had a few big plays too. Just really standout performance by those guys. and it ended up coming down to the last drive, and the like I said, the San Diego defense did what they were supposed to do, got a takeaway, and then pretty much put the game to bed. So it was a fun one to watch. I certainly suggest that you take a look at it if you haven't already for our fans.
Yeah, San Diego, so they get the win and they're in. They had the
Hmm.
tiebreaker as far as head-to-head over Naz, so I'm not sure where the confusion came in from the IFL as far as, well, they need Naz to lose. They beat them twice, but I guess
Right.
talking to some of the people, who have been around for the last few years said that the first tiebreaker has changed back and forth a few times. In my mind, and I think in everybody's mind, default tiebreaker, the first one is head-to-head matchup, right?
Mhm.
But and then you get into conference, strength of schedule, and then whatever the hell else is down that rabbit hole. But I guess the IFL switched for a while to conference record was the tiebreaker instead of head to head. I'm like, okay, like that doesn't it doesn't make any sense. Like let's
Not
not
even a
make it
little
more
bit.
complicated than it needs to be. So San Diego is in. They could very well get the number one seed still after Bay Area lost, which was another fantastic game, which we'll get to here in a second. But
Mhm.
another good one. This one, I mean, we're trying to only talk about the games that really matter. This one did kind of, I mean, half of it. Like it was Quad City and Sioux Falls. Quad City needed the win. I mean, they
Yeah.
needed that win, right, to stay in the playoff hunt, even though they look like the clear cut team to get that fourth spot, because Tulsa, I mean, you just can't really depend on them to win when they needed to. But same can be said about the Steam Wheelers. I am not the curse because Quad City got this win in overtime, 45-44. This was, great job for Quad City. I really want to see them finish strong, get back-to-back wins, and not take a loss coming up, and just go into the postseason heads held high. They still have to lock up that playoff spot, so they can't take their foot off the gas just yet. I don't think I would really want them to. I think, if you've been back and forth for like 6 or 7 weeks, like, go for the throat, sweep the leg, Johnny. So that was a good one there. SF obviously out, and they were trying a bunch of new pieces, and we hope that Claude Davis finds a new home. We didn't know last week was his last game, not this recent game, but the week before was his last
Mhm.
game with the Storm. He announced, he had told me right before he announced, which was tough because we've been trying to get Claude on the show, and I feel like now we can even more because he can just kind of be relaxed and say whatever he wants. And that's like a guest that we've needed to have on the show for a while.
Yeah,
So either way, though, best of luck to him. What he's been able to do at age 35 at that position has been nothing short of spectacular, especially to watch this season. So
for
Quad
sure.
City gets another win, and that brings us to the big one, and I think we all knew that for several reasons. Naz in Bay Area. Naz gets the win 47-46. And so Bay
Mhm.
Area with that loss, we'll get this part out of the way first. Bay Area with that loss does not lock up the number one seed. They could still fall to number two, technically, with San Diego getting a
Mhm.
win, who San Diego, I think we can all agree, peaking at the perfect time. They are winners of
Perfect time.
four in a row. Frisco also winners of four in a row. Those are the longest active winning streaks in the IFL right now, and it's two teams that I believe truly are the number one and number two team. But power rankings are what they are. Let's not get too far into that. But this game, and Mal, I know you agree with me on this. If you're somebody that loves sports, but maybe your belief in a higher power or like divine intervention has been kind of on the fence, this should have cleared up anything for you, because the way that this game went, Naz went in, trailed the entire game. It was at
Yeah.
one point it was 28-7, but in the third it was 40-15. Any other time, a team like Naz, the Wranglers have no business winning this game, but they would go and score 24 points in the fourth quarter, and they would successfully convert two onside kicks back to back, and then, just to bring it within 1 point, their kicker, after the last touchdown they scored, did a drop kick and was successful after missing the previous one. He was 50-50 for drop kicks. He was
Mhm.
50-50 on, I think, field goal attempts as a whole. Like, this is not a guy like an Ernesto Lacayo who leads the league in drop kicks or anything. Like it's very much like flip a coin and that's going to be the outcome. And
Yeah,
then with 4 seconds left, he's got to hit the deuce because there was a few scenario talks. There was like, okay, he could hit the deuce and that puts them a point ahead. And then with like a second off the clock, then Bay Area still has a chance to kick a field goal and win. They could try for a third onside kick and see if they can score after that. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you've got 4 seconds, so yeah, a deuce is going to be what you do. He
right.
nails the deuce. Like it was
Hmm.
probably good by that much. And
Right.
then when Bay Area took over, they attempted a field goal and it was wide left. I mean, there you cannot tell me that there is not some kind of higher power at work when there is that outcome for Naz, who, I mean, they had every reason to lose that game. If you look at the box score, you're like, what? Did
It's
did
crazy.
did Daquan Neal get hurt? Did like their whole offense decide to just like go to the bench in the fourth? Like what happened here? I know that Rob Keefe was furious. His post game
Oh
interview, he
yeah.
was very upset. But you can't be. Like I knew the whole game. I was like, it doesn't matter what the score. Like Naz is going to win this game. Like you just don't understand how these things work in sports.
Like you said, my college coach, he used to call them the football gods. He was saying, you know, if you're doing everything you're supposed to do, if you're treating the game with respect like you need to, and you're living right, then the football gods will bless you. Apparently Naz is doing something in favor of the football gods. I don't know if they got some kind of shrine over there that they're, paying homage to or whatever the case is, but they're doing something right. Cause I mean, that normally just you don't see stuff like that every day or every weekend, should I say. But it also goes to show, and like several guests who we've had on have attested to this, and we've been around the indoor game long enough to see that anything can happen. It's such a fast-paced game, man. It's like these offenses are so explosive. You can't take your foot off the gas for 1 second or 1 quarter in Bay Area's case. Because and that is a great team. They're a great team, man. They have talent all over the board, and although I would not have. I think you're alone on expect just knowing that Naz will win, because I mean, watching that game, I was, oh, this is over. So I mean, it was a great game to watch, and like I said, it just reminds you what game we're playing, what game we're watching. That you can have a turnaround and a change of momentum just like that.
I'm not saying that you wish for tragedy all the time if you're in a tight spot as a football team, but when stuff like that unexpectedly happens to a team, the death of a coach, player, a
Hmm.
parent, something like that, there's just a different sort of aura around that team, whether it's at home or on the road. That next game is different. And yeah, I think you could tell that
Right.
they were feeling it the first half of the game. I mean, they looked like they were about to find every reason to lose that game that they could.
Hmm.
But when you look at the fourth quarter and you see 24 points scored, they had two successful back-to-back onside kicks, which just getting one
Right.
is like the odds on that are terrible. You had to get a drop kick after to add two more points just to bring you within one and then hit a deuce to win it. Like as the announcers are talking through everything that had to happen with, I think, less than a minute left, I'm like, oh, they're winning. Like they're absolutely, without a doubt, winning this game. I mean, spirit of Coach Moran, whatever you want to call it, when they were going through everything that had to happen after everything that had already happened, I was like, they're winning this game. Like
Mm.
there's not a chance that they lose this game. And then you add in the fact that they had to win just to stay in the postseason hunt because with the screw up that the IFL had with the scenario, San Diego winning put them in. And so now Naz has to continue. I think they have to win out to be in. I'm not sure if there's anybody that has to lose. I don't have the scenarios fresh memorized off the top of my head, but everything was on the line for Naz in this game, and for them to go on the road against the reigning champs, the number one team in the league at that time, however you want to spin it, and for them to do what they did, nothing short of a miracle. I mean, that's a sports miracle in my book. So good
For
for
sure.
Naz. That was incredible to watch. I think biggest comeback in team history. So
Mm.
everything was there. So good on them. I don't know if they get to cash in on something like that more than once, but still, to just witness that was special. Other scores around the league, we had Jacks over Iowa, 69-43, that lone game. Arizona over Tucson. Nobody knows how to lose like Tucson does, man. 44-37, your
Mm.
final. They had that
Mm.
game. They had it, man. I got too excited. And then Frisco over DC, 81-55. The Fighters drop a 80 burger on the road and are the new number one team in my power rankings. I think that they can
Mm.
no longer be the quietest, best team in the league. Like they're now definitely a team to watch, especially a four-game
Yeah,
winning streak,
for
just like
sure.
San Diego. They're peaking at the right time. But some notable performances, both from Frisco, no surprise there. Edwards, 15 and 19, 226 yards,
Yeah.
nine touchdowns through the air, no picks,
Mm.
and a touchdown on the ground. And who did he
9
throw some of
touchdowns.
those touchdowns to? That was McClurge, who had seven receptions, okay, seven receptions,
Mm.
114 yards. And of those seven receptions, five touchdowns. Going to be interesting to see how the league picks its players of the week this week because, well, it's going to be Frisco. We know that. So that will do it for our week 17 recap. We've got 2 weeks left, but for a lot of teams, just one game left because there's still, oddly enough, a couple of buys that teams have to get out of the way. My opinion on the schedule has become very popular amongst the fans, even a photographer friend of mine and some others. They're just like, yes, mid-July, like have the fourth, take that week off for the players, and
Mhm.
then come back and finish it off with the championship. August is just not good for business all around.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, apparently I'm onto something. Not like I haven't covered this league for 9 freaking years or anything like that, but I
Oh
digress.
man.
So that brings us to the portion of the show where we welcome a special guest. And this one, very fitting after the competition that we saw last week, especially with one team in particular that we just got done gushing about. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now from Frisco, one of the fighters, it is Royce See. Royce, my man, welcome to the program. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Me and Malc, we're both we're pro defensive guys. Like we love talking to you defensive folks out there. You've had great last couple of games. Frisco, and go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but all season we've watched these teams kind of rise and fall, but Frisco has maintained just this kind of right under the radar level where you guys have taken some on the chin, but it never lasts very long. Where Vegas, they were the last undefeated team. They're 2-6 now since then, and then it seems like Green Bay went on the long winning streak, and now they've recently lost. But you guys sitting on four straight, and I'm starting to pay attention now with 2 weeks left, as I think the rest of the league is. But is that a fair assessment of you guys just kind of being like right there under the noise and everything?
Yeah, that's one thing that we really focused on this season is taking it one week at a time. Coming into the year, we knew we had 13 straight, which is long for any team. So pretty much taking it one week at a time, understanding it's not really what happens in the middle of that, but what happens at the end. Being able to get to that chance, get the playoffs, and get to Vegas. So that's always been our focus, and I feel like we handled it pretty good this year.
Yeah, and there's only a few weeks left, and of course, there's going to be a lot of talk about Frisco. Regular season Frisco and postseason Frisco seem to be two very different beasts. I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of that, but every year is different. What, in your mind, makes this season different?
Yeah, this season has been a lot different just because we faced a lot of adversity this year. We had a few tough, close games that we lost, but it actually helped us, I feel like, in the long run. Being able to be with your teammates during those moments, those playoff caliber games. Those games we lost were all close, and it was to give the young guys a big picture of what the playoffs look like. So that's pretty much the biggest difference that we've had this year, and I think it's going to pay dividends when we get on the playoff run as well.
Excellent. Good assessment there. So I've broken the ice. Malc, he's a defensive guy like you. I'm going to let you have at him. Don't get him confused with a magical defensive genie there, Royce. I don't believe he's up for granting wishes right now, but he does have some questions for you.
Yes,
No, for
you
sure,
got
for
man.
sure. Like you said, man, I'm a fellow defensive guy myself, a fellow linebacker. So I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of
Okay,
your play, bro. So
yeah,
you
man, I
know,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, of course, man, of course. I gotta get the flowers when they do, man. I want to start off with obviously, it's no shortage of talent on the Frisco Fighters, man. You know, you got that monster of a quarterback and T.J. Edwards on the offensive side. On the defensive side, you know yourself, you got Charles Williams. You know, two very like y'all become household names, I would say, especially for Frisco fans. I mean, I'm watching the games, I'm hearing your name, Charles' name called, just every defensive drive. It seems like I gotta know, bro. Like, just as far as the dynamic of like practices and stuff, do you like going up against such a great offense and the offense going up against such a stout defense? Do you think that attributes to you guys pulling out those convincing wins, or is it more so like the coaching that's involved?
Man, that's a great point, Malcolm. We like to say we're playing the best of the best each week. In
For
practice,
sure.
we actually put that into our practice where we're doing best on best, good on good.
Mm,
So that really where our confidence comes in those close games is, we've already been through this. Going against those
yeah,
guys like T.J. Edwards. Our receiver core, I feel like is the best in the league. Running back core, offensive line. So each day we're going to best of best. Me and Charles, we always try to keep that tempo up, knowing that each day that we can get better and better, so it pays off during the game.
yeah, man, and it's showing for sure. It's definitely showing, man. I know the value in facing like a strong offense or strong defense, like and just in practice, because it makes the games that much easier for real.
Most
So
definitely.
you guys kind of being almost under the radar. I don't know what it is, man. Y'all been handling business all season, but it seems like y'all just don't get that is talked about as much as like other teams for some odd reason, man. Is that something that y'all like kind of carry and like have a chip on your shoulder, or y'all really don't care too much about it?
Oh, most definitely. It definitely gives a chip on the shoulder. But the big thing though is our Coach Coles. He does a great job is keeping us focused. Not worried about the outside noise, knowing that if we do our job, we're gonna get to where we need to go. And
For
that's
sure.
one thing we like to focus on for sure.
I like it, man. I like it. I like it. Always like every team I've been on, the coaches, they always preach like, keep the outside noise to a minimum. You can't get too high or too low on what the fans and the critics have to say.
Right.
Cause I mean, and all in all, it matters like what matters is what's going on in house. So I feel that.
Well, my question is mainly your guys' conference. All season long, people have talked about how stacked the Western Conference is. And I mean, deservedly so. I mean, you've got some real powerhouses over there. Most notably, right now, I'd say San Diego, the Strike Force, is the most dangerous team in that conference. They've also won four straight, sharing the longest active win streak with you guys in Frisco. But, you look over at what you guys have in the East, and you have Quad City, very back and forth, Green Bay having the season of a franchise of a lifetime, really, right now. And then you have these other teams kind of in the mix, Mass doing well, but can they hold themselves up against tough teams? I mean, how do you guys measure success in a conference that people look as like kind of, I don't want to say like the leftovers, but you know what I mean? It's like it's not getting the attention that the West is.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, man. And the big thing about the East right now is there's all good ball teams. Everybody has the opportunity to get to the point where they want to go. My biggest thing I feel like is about being consistent. Who can be consistent in those ball games that really matter. We played some tough teams playing San Diego. We did get a win over them, but they're starting to put it together at the right time. And I feel like that's really what's important. They're able to clinch the playoffs this last weekend. And that's something that we're watching over here in the East as well, who can put that together. So that's our biggest thing, being able to finish off the year strong, getting this last one against Iowa and keep that momentum rolling.
we're at the point where we're starting to talk about championship storylines and what there are. Green Bay is a big one because they've never been to the championship, in the IFL, and they're having a great season. Obviously, they would have to go through you guys, vice versa, in that side of the conference. Another one is you look at powerhouse teams, and we've got the San Diego Strike Force, and I think an ideal matchup for them would be you guys with Edwards, that two-headed monster at running back that you guys have, your defense, their offense. And I mean, it's just like a dream matchup in my opinion. But the big thing, the elephant in the room for Frisco is getting not just to the postseason, but what you guys do there. So what would it mean, from you and just the pulse of the fans and the community and the team, the veterans on Frisco to have a deep run and possibly go to the championship finally, as the Frisco Fighters?
Yeah, man, it'll mean everything. Frisco, there is huge fan base. We have the best fans in the league. They're always supporting us at the games. That'll be huge, not only for us as a team being able to cap this run, of course, with the victory, the championship, but be able to get that to the fans. Be able to bring that to Frisco will mean a lot for us.
Is that any kind of monkey on the back right now, like that you guys have, or is that just more noise you got to block out?
No, man, we knew what it was coming into the year. Frisco, we've always been right there at the conference championship. And, last year left a bad taste in our mouth. So, we're motivated to make it happen this year. That's the goal.
Yeah, man. So I gotta ask you, as like I said, a fellow linebacker, man, you're part of a very prestigious few amount of individuals in the IFL with over 80 tackles. And also I think you have 12 for a loss as well, which is among the top five, if I'm not mistaken. Myself personally, I was always, and I still am like a very cerebral football player. I kind of diagnose what plays may be run just based on formations or like, pre-snap reads and stuff. I mean, you're flying around out there, man. Are you more like a pre-snap read type of guy, or are you just like a read and react?
So our defense is based on being able to react based off of pre-snap. Our Coach Snoop, Coach Malcolm, do a great, phenomenal job putting us in the right position. So going into
Yeah.
the week, we're comfortable. They want us playing fast, being confident, and that's one thing that allows us to make those plays. Being able to diagnose things from film study, like you said. You see it throughout the week. You know the play's coming. When you see that
Yep.
formation, can you trust your preparation? And that's one
Hmm.
thing I feel like we've been, really good at throughout the season, battling through injuries that we had over the time, but being able to stay true to ourselves, understand what we have to be, and being able to execute those plays, has paid off a lot for us.
Well,
Good to
I
hear.
did think
Sure.
of a couple more that I had. Real quick ones though.
Yeah.
Since we've got you, which is we thank you so much for following the show, enjoying the show, and interacting with us. We're always happy to have guys like you on. Defensive guy, no brainer. We always love to have the defense on the show to get their flowers. So,
Always.
in the in the spirit of giving flowers, if there's a teammate of yours that you want to shout out right now that's either like most improved or been a real difference maker for you guys as far as your recent success, especially four straight, you can go ahead and give them a shout right now.
Oh man, I mean, I'm gonna have to give out a shout out to my guy TJ. He's battled through a lot of things this year. Starting off, coming in, getting injured, coming back. Being focused. He wasn't even really supposed to be playing. Just seeing that, being able to see him step up when we needed him most, it paid off a lot, man. So being able to go up with a guy like that all week, really gets your mindset right. I want to give a shout out to him because that's my quarterback one for sure.
Well, and the last one, I promise it's the last one. Your guys' last two games have been something interesting because you guys are no strangers to rivalries. You guys in Tulsa have a great rivalry, but there was 2 games ago. It was you in San Antonio, and they were playing for their playoff lives. And I said to Malc, I said, if they lose this, they're out, even though it was kind of still not decided entirely. But you guys go beat them in, to them, heartbreaking fashion. And they're kind of a rival of you guys, both being Texas teams. And then you go and drop an 80 burger in DC against the
Hmm.
Gladiators this last week. Are those victories just a little bit more special, especially considering where we are in the season and what you guys are looking to ultimately achieve?
Oh, most definitely, Richard. Those are huge for us, man. You know, we know going into playing San Antonio, games are tough. You know, they're within 3 points every time. So getting that win was huge for us. And then, like you said, going into Duke City, a very improved ball club. You know, I feel like they're really going in the right direction. And getting that win to come on the bye week is great for us.
All right, man. Well, I'm sure San Antonio didn't appreciate the sentiment there, but hey, sweep the leg, man. When you've got the
Is, man.
opportunity to sweep it, even if they're not in your conference. So I like
Right.
your guys' mentality right now. Like I said, you guys are playing phenomenal ball right now and having a hell of a run. So I want to thank you so much for your time and joining us here on the show. It's been a real treat for me and Malc.
Yes, sir. I
Oh man.
appreciate you guys for having me, man. I'm supporting you all the way. Like I said, appreciate everything you guys do.
All right, so one more time, give it up for a proud member of that stingy Frisco Fighter defense, Royce See, as they are rolling right now, winners of 4 straight, looking to have the road to the championship on the eastern side go through Frisco. Thank you so much again, my man. You take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. You as well. Appreciate it.
All right, and that brings us to our favorite portion of the show. Well, I mean, it depends on how last week panned out. For me, this is not my favorite portion of the program this week, but I digress. It is time for our pick'em, week 18. 2 weeks left to punish each other. Malc was successful. Our one and done game, coin flip game. Jackson, Iowa,
Mhm,
really? Ugh.
mhm.
Oh well, oh
Hey.
well. I still love you, Barnstormers. As you can see, I decided to suit up with Barnstormers swag today to honor you guys. So it's okay. There's no hard feelings. But we have a punishment for me after this. But let's go ahead and get to our picks first. So week 18, Saturday, no Friday games. So we get Super Saturday. We start off Green Bay, fresh off of a bye week. They've locked up not only a postseason berth, but a home playoff game. However, the outcome of this game could very well determine if the road to the championship goes through Green Bay or if it'll make a stop there and then head to Frisco, because Frisco is the other team in the mix. But they will visit Jacksonville to take on the
Mhm.
Sharks. So that's a road trek for the Blizzard. Malc, you won Pick'em last week, so you get the honor of picking first this week.
I'm gonna go against the grain here, and
Wow.
I'm gonna say Jax. Not only to spice things up, but I think they're having like a kind of end of the season high. I don't know exactly what to call it,
I'll give you that. I'll
but
give you that.
yeah, no, they seem to be. And now, if we would have had this Jax that we just saw this past weekend earlier in the season, I would have loved to see it. It would have, made for a better look coming out of the NAL as the champs over there, and it would have been more along the lines of what we expected to see. But I mean, the cards fell where they did, and they're not much of a postseason threat or anything of that nature. So, but I mean, they are still having fun. You can tell that they're enjoying what they're doing. They're trying to dash some hopes of some other team. So, I'm gonna say Jacksonville in this one. So we'll definitely see.
I just want to point out that Malcolm was sent swag from the Blizzard and has since picked against them twice. So that's a
Oh
real
man,
thanks for the free stuff.
they're gonna request the shirt back. What?
I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting
Yeah.
down. I
Uh-huh.
do agree that Jax is they, and I mentioned a few episodes ago. I said I think Jax is playing for just to prove that they're not as bad as people have now made judgment about. Since coming into this league and the competition, I think they're playing for pride to prove a lot of people
Mhm.
wrong. And that's good for them. Not so good for Green Bay. I'm going to go with Green Bay because I think the bigger picture of things, Green Bay looks at what Frisco did to Duke City this
Yeah.
last weekend and says, okay, clearly, like our work is not done yet. I know
Mhm.
that they're happy with. They're pleased with making the postseason. They're happy with having a home playoff game, but they're going to be thrilled to have the championship go through Green Bay if they can help it. And so a win on the road against Jacksonville, I think, says a lot, even despite Jacksonville's record. So I'm going to go with Green Bay in that. So we're already off to differing. Great. This is going to be a fun week.
Yep,
All
yep,
right. The
yep.
next Saturday game. This is the Sioux Falls Storm, the new look Sioux Falls Storm. It looks like all the faces there are new. Are going to go on the
Hmm.
road to take on the Iowa Barnstormers. This one is another coin flip, but I'm not gonna pull a Malc here and wear the stuff and pick against them. I will pick the Iowa Barnstormers to win at home. Yeah, I think Sioux Falls still figuring stuff out, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I like Iowa in this one too because not only are they at home, but like you said, one of the key factors that they got a lot of new faces over there. So um, I don't think that they expect to have the chemistry down, completely just yet. I think they're more so looking for the future, or looking to the future. And with that being the case, they, like you said, they still have a lot to figure out. They don't have it all together just yet. So I'll take Iowa as well in this one.
Okay, and so that brings us to the next Saturday game. And since I can pick however I want, that makes things a little better for this one. It is Quad City on the road against Tulsa. This one, I think, will be probably the game to watch. Not because of records or anything, but these are the last two still in it in the
Yeah.
Eastern Conference. A win from Tulsa, what does that do? But this would be the first time that Quad City would get back-to-back wins if they do since mid-season. So that would be huge for them. I said they need to finish strong if they're gonna, go to the playoffs, and that's what they need to do here. But Malc, I'll let you pick first on this. What are you feeling?
I like Quad City. I do. I think they understand that strong finishes is 100% necessary. So um, Tulsa at this point, they're in their way, and they're gonna handle them accordingly. So yeah, I'm taking Quad City for sure.
Yeah, I will take Quad City as well, just because I want every team in the postseason to have a winning record. Like
Mm,
more than anything, I've seen postseasons where there's one team that limps in, and it's just like, oh, like could we not call an audible here and like insert
mm,
certain amendments or whatever that say in the event of this we go to the other team with the best record.
yeah.
You don't want to have the Western Conference sitting there like they get in and they lost more than they want. I don't want it. So love Quad City, love Tulsa. I want Quad City to win this strictly for the fact that I want to have strong teams in the postseason because this has otherwise been a great
Hmm.
season. So we both like Quad City there. The next Saturday game, this one both teams playing for pride at this point. I don't know if we'll see quite the performances that we did last week from them. I think for one of them, they're probably hoping maybe a little bit better performance. It's San Antonio and the Gunslingers taking on Tucson and the Sugar Skulls. And man,
Hmm.
Marshall texted me. He's like, we're gonna write books on how to lose games. A fumble, man. I kept checking in on this game, and I'm like, no, they won't, they can't. Like, no, like I said, that's too much good to happen on a weekend for me. Sure enough, they fumble it away. Malk, what are you feeling in this one?
uh, San Antonio for sure, man. Like you said, Tucson. I loved how they were looking about mid-season or a little before the midway point. They had a lot of promise. I had a lot of, they signed a few key names at what seemed like the perfect time, but it just started going downhill, man. I hate to see that for a team that starts off so well, and but again, that's how the cards fell for them. San Antonio, they know their playoff hopes are over, but at the same time, playing for pride is certainly a big thing for teams. They don't want to. They want to leave with their heads held high. So I think that they still have a little left in the tank, and they're gonna bring that to Tucson. So I got San Antonio for sure.
Yeah, and I was wrong. Last week was not their last home game. It's next week. So I think they're going to look to get another win and then really finish out their inaugural season with the IFL on a high note. It
Oh yeah.
sucks. It sucks that they're not playing for a postseason berth because the competition's been so good from them since they started off 0 and 4. But I don't think they have anything to hang their heads about. So I like San Antonio as well in this one to get a win on the road. And so that will bring us to the next Saturday game. And this one, aside from Quad City and Tulsa, is probably the biggest game of the week. We have the
Mm-hmm.
Vegas Nighthawks in Northern Arizona to take on the Wranglers. This
Mm-hmm.
one, very interesting for the simple fact that Naz has to win to stay in the postseason picture. And I think defeating Vegas would solidify them getting in over, Vegas. They don't have the tiebreaker over the Rattlers, but Vegas has only won two games. I think they're 2-6 since they
Mm-hmm.
were the last sole remaining undefeated team. So I'm not really sure what's up with Vegas right now. I mean, when they play well, they're like one of the best teams in the league, like they were for the first whole half of the season. But
Yeah.
lately, it's like they're finding ways to lose as opposed to when they were finding ways to win. I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
with Naz at home. I think this last game, be it divine intervention, luck, whatever, I think that they know that they're playing for their postseason lives and that they can take a Vegas. Either way, this is a good kind of litmus test for just how good is Northern Arizona right now. So I like the Wranglers.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that, and I'd have to agree with you. I like Nas in this. Like you said, Vegas was they were a team touted to be the best in their conference for sure. I thought they were gonna carry on that undefeated streak throughout the like at least the majority of the season, but it seems like they kind of ran out of steam along the way. Unfortunately for them, Nas is the complete opposite. Because of the most recent passing of their coach, they seem to, be reinvigorated. They have that new life, and like you said, the that divine intervention is certainly on their side as well. One key thing to point out about Vegas too that I heard the commentator say quite a bit during that game against San Diego this past weekend. They have quite a few new faces over there as well. If I'm not mistaken, I looked at the transaction report. I think they let go of 7 guys, but then they picked up another 7. So, you know, some big changes being made over there. I think Nas definitely gonna win this game.
Yep. And so we both like Naz, and that will bring us to our last game, the Week 18 finale. Not all teams are playing. There's still some buys to get out of the way, and it is a Saturday game. So another Super Saturday for us. It's the Duke
Mm-hmm.
City Gladiators in Bay Area to take on the Panthers. I don't think it's going to be much conversation or debate about who wins this one, but Malc, you do the honors. Who do you like first?
Yeah, I'm taking Duke City. No, no, no. Can't even do it. Love Duke City, man,
Uh,
but no. Yeah, Bay Area for sure is gonna take this one home, man. I
yeah.
still follow Duke City on social media, and they're hyping it up and trying to get the fans to get engaged and put some butts in seats and stuff. Just the last game and this and that, the last hoorah, if you will, but. I don't think it's gonna matter, man. Bay Area is just in an entirely different class than Duke City, and they're gonna show it for sure. It's not gonna, it's not gonna be any question. I don't think.
Yeah, if Bay Area, the one thing I've learned this season, if they lose, they don't lose long. Like
Yeah.
it's like one and done, which you
Hmm.
hope isn't the case when you get to the postseason. But obviously, they're going to be back at home. This is an opponent that should be a layup win for them to help get their confidence back. So I'm going to go with Bay
For
Area as
sure.
well. I mean, it has all the makings of a trap game, but coming off of a loss like they had against Naz, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Trap games are a lot harder to come by in the IFL. So that is our Week 18 pick'em, and now it's time for Malcolm to tell me what my punishment is from this last week. I'm honestly nervous.
For sure, for sure. No, I kept it light. I kept it light. I did. I put a lot of thought into it for sure. But I figured I'd give you the courtesy of letting you choose between two that I came up with. Okay,
Okay,
based
okay.
on what you have at your disposal. So, question for you: one, do you own a hula hoop, or could you get your hands on a hula hoop?
Oh yeah, I could get my hands on one pretty easily. I
Oh,
don't
perfect.
own one, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a way to get a hold of one somewhere.
Okay. 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 Perfect. So I would love to see you do a hula hoop routine to I forget the artist who made the song. I'll look it up and send it to you when I do my research. But the song is called the joke is on you. But
Okay.
I want to see a hula hoop routine. Doesn't have to be long, it could be a good little 30 seconds or so. But yeah, no, I need to see that for sure. I think that'll put us in the in the festive mood coming up on the that championship game. I think that's what the fans need to see.
All right, hula hoop routine. Got it.
Uh, I
Okay.
think that's better than because if you didn't have a hula hoop, I would have asked you to do a hopscotch or two hopscotch just like
That
with the
honestly might
sidewalk
be
talk and all
harder
that.
to find. Well, I don't know. I'll let you know because I'll go to the sporting goods store this week, and I'll let you know if it's
Yeah.
easier to find chalk or a hula hoop.
For
But
sure, for sure, for sure. I'll leave it at your behest for now. But yeah, I think the fans need to see a little we can take it back to the schoolyard a little bit and have a little fun with it. So not to mention too, I forgot to say, um the my punishment for last week for sure is still on the way. It's definitely on the way. But because I didn't know that because of the fourth and all the festivities they had.
no,
And
I realized that later. I was like, oh, I had him do that on a
yeah,
day. Okay, I get it.
no, for sure. And the Green Turtle, they actually had it was pretty cool. They had a live band play
Mhm.
the day where they normally do the karaoke. So wasn't able to get in there, but I did go and shared the GoFundMe with a few people. So, they told me they'll get to it when the money comes their way. So, we're expecting some pretty generous contributions coming in soon. But
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
very much still on the way.
For
So,
the
I'm
cause.
excited about that one.
For the cause.
For sure, for sure.
All right,
Man,
folks. Well, that will do it for episode 495, five away from 500. Crazy to believe. And Malcolm's been just such a treat to have on these last, I think, 20? Yeah, something like that,
something like
15.
that. Feels like
But
it.
he continues to get more and more ingrained to the culture, and that's been the funnest part is just to see him embrace the controversy, embrace the hate sometimes. Like I just see it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so proud. So
There's plenty of it.
yes. Don't forget to give us a like and a follow on all those platforms that are applicable. So, X, give us a follow. And on Instagram, give us a follow. Instagram's the most fun with the stories and the
Mm.
banter and everything. The link to the GoFundMe is, of course, you can find it on the X somewhere in there. There's an X post or a tweet about it. You can find the link in the bio for the Fan Show's Instagram page, and then give us a like on Facebook, and you can find the link to the GoFundMe there as well. We're so thankful for your donations for those who have and plan to as we get ready for the championship just over a month away. So give us likes, give us follows, and then subscribe to see us on the YouTube channel. You can hear us on Apple, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, and of course Spreaker.com, and every Wednesday on Express Radio on Live365.com. So for Malcolm McCoy, aka Father Malc, I'm the T-Man Richard Tiemann. This has been another exciting episode of The Fan Show, and we will see you next time.